Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds.
Welcome. This is a gastronomy science faculty, and we do a lot of programs here: cooking, service management, applied science, culture. But also for us, it's very important farming, and to educate professionals that many are going to be chefs, but to understand how ingredients, how food is produced. So we have a farm, 5 minutes walking distance. So let's go to visit.
All right.
The garden.
Welcome to another episode of Harvesting Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Mike McMahon. With me today, I have Joxe Mari Aizega. Close?
That's perfect. That's perfect.
It's not perfect, but thank you for saying so. We are here at the Basque Culinary Center, which I guess has not just the presence up here with this big school and kitchens you have, but you 6 months ago opened up another facility in town. We are at the garden, which is really critical. I'm glad you have this here. To me, it all starts here, not just at the garden, it starts in the soil. So we'll do a little trip of this, but thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. And it's pretty amazing stuff that you got going on.
Thank you for coming, Mike, and thank you for showing interest of what we do here at the Basque Culinary Center.
Well, the Basque cooking here in this part of the world is renowned as, some would argue, the best cooking in the world. But everywhere I go, they say that they have, not everywhere, but there's quite a few extremely great food cultures out there. But this might be, to me, what I associate it is with freshness.
Yeah.
And you can get fresh off the sea and eat right away. That's one thing. But if you really want to be involved with fresh, across the board, it has to be at the garden level, because we know that you lose nutrient value right after you pick it. Certainly within 24 hours of when you pick it. So if you're really interested in what's on the plate, you have to be interested in the crop selection, how you're preparing your soils, how you're growing your plants, a critical component. So, and I see that's a big part of the class work that you guys have. You're looking at the biology and everything else, but tell us a little about your story. Were you a cook as a kid? Were you in one of the societies of cooking culture that used to be male-oriented, and I guess we're now opened it up to everyone, but was that your history? What drove you?
I would say, of course, I am Basque, and we, as you're saying, we have a very strong culinary culture. We cook a lot. We value very much the fresh ingredients, to cook them right, to maintain their aromas, their quality. So in that sense, many of us, we have this culture. But I studied business, law. I have a PhD in law, but it is true that I reached to be vice president of a cooperative university here in Basque Country, Mondragon University. And almost 20 years ago, a group of chefs approached us, and I was invited into a lunch, and they were looking for, they felt that it was necessary to create a new educational center.
Yeah.
Because of the evolution of Basque cuisine, they thought that for the future, it was necessary to create something new, not a traditional culinary school. So our university and myself, with them, we started talking and understanding what's going on, what was going on in gastronomy and in the culinary sector 20 years ago. Finally, we created Basque Culinary Center. It's a foundation, it's a non-profit. And I would say one of the main characteristics of the Basque Culinary Center is that we have a holistic understanding of gastronomy. We understand that gastronomy is a very wide sector, a multidisciplinary sector, of course, cooking, service, management, science, culture, creativity, art, digital transformation, farming, sustainability. So we created this holistic center, and also we understood that gastronomy was a value chain, not only restaurants, but also farming, farmers, transformation, industry, hospitality sector, tourism, more and more important, gastronomic tourism. So yeah, we started 17 years ago. We have developed a very wide ecosystem of activities, gastronomic science faculty, a research and innovation center, incubation programs, acceleration programs for startups, events. And also, as you were saying, 6 months ago, we have opened a new place to develop more activity in research, innovation, entrepreneurship, thinking also in food systems, promoting a delicious future. So yeah, I would say that we have been an active
forward
project.
thinking.
Yeah.
Something lacking in today's world is the understanding that some things take time, right? The Earth took 4.3 billion years to form. You know, humans have been having cultures for the last 5 to 10,000 years. We've had civilization. That's it. So, and what we think in terms of is a lifetime, and a lifetime is not even a second when we look at geology and we look at all these things. But we often lose touch with the Earth. We've all moved into urban environments. We lose touch with a lot of these things. But we also have today's science. So the blending of today's, you're doing a lot of fermentation and things like that. These are, you have to have a scientific understanding to do it. But some of these practices probably go back to when this was Basque country over 1,000 years ago. You know, it's just we've lost some of that. So having that tradition and history is kind of a critical thing. As I read this, you are the general director and the driving force between behind the Basque Culinary Center. And you've redefined the intersection of gastronomy, science, and higher education. So you've done a lot in 20 years. I mean, these facilities, first of all, are absolutely beautiful pieces of architecture. What would you say right now is and you've got multiple programs going on, right?
Yeah.
So what is the driving force for, or your main projects that are in your head that you have to do over the next couple of years or 5 years or whatever?
Well, I would say when we started, we understood that our sector, gastronomy, was a sector of small companies. I mean, restaurants are small companies, farms are small companies,
right.
And that we wanted to develop the potential, the economic and social and cultural potential of our sector. So I would say one of our goals is to help our ecosystem to grow and to understand the challenges and opportunities of the future, and to develop and to be, I would say, in the market and to help them. But at the moment, of course, we have students in this moment around from 35 countries. So
wow.
A very international community.
Wow.
Coming here to receive a different education. I mean, not a traditional niche education, but a holistic education. So for me, to educate the professionals of the future and professionals that will be all over the world, it's very important to educate them with the right skills and right values. And in these values, for me, it's very important to educate them with this holistic approach. And yeah, I'm absolutely agree with you. For example, this farm, this garden, we created this garden because we wanted to teach them the importance of time. I mean, imagine they have to cook in these months, April, May, June, some products in the restaurant.
Right.
But they come here in September, October to plan and to
What
plant
they're gonna make. Yeah.
what they are going to cook.
Right.
So they plant the seeds, they take care of the growing process, and 6 months later, they are cooking the product. No?
Right.
So, because many times you realize when you eat something, you are eating time.
Yes.
You are eating time.
And even in a restaurant setting, or even at home, if your father or your mother is cooking, they can spend an entire day in making sauces or figuring out where to go to get their material, whether they're growing it themselves or whatever. They take the entire day to prepare a meal that we eat like this. But I think people value it once they understand all that goes into it.
Absolutely.
When it's not immediate and fast and quick. Uh, so that's part of it. It's interesting because you just brought up, you've created an ecosystem. You didn't create one, you just organized a community. And a big part with Urban Farming Education, which is the nonprofit that drives podcasts and it drives the film festival that we do, and different conferences we have. Um, we came out to three real simple concepts that I've had a bunch of people come in and they try to change it or massage it or whatever, but it comes down to helping people with the capacity to do something.
Mm-hmm.
The farmer has to understand what he's doing and why he's doing it, and the chef in the restaurant has to understand the issues that the farmer has to go through, and so that capacity, that understanding of how to cook. You can't just go into a kitchen and you can start cooking, but understanding all the things that you're teaching um, make a big difference. So that capacity is one. The other way, the primary thing though, is always community. We always go back to community. Every time I think, oh, we're going to go and launch a program and it's going to be my ideas, generally it doesn't work. So it's a matter of working with the community. When we're in Africa, for instance, we've noticed that the programs that work best are the ones that people come to us and say, we want oil, so what should we do? Well, we'll grow some sunflower and we'll show you how to press it and make an oil. There's different, or they want to raise chickens for eggs or whatever they may want to do. A project that they're invested in and that they're interested in makes a big difference. So we have community, we have building capacity, and we do it. Everything is through education.
Yeah.
You just can't expect people to go and do something without having some education and understanding of how they do it. So that's where we based our entire nonprofit off. And I notice as I podcast all over the world, it's the same thing. Whether it's with Rothschild, that's been around for over 200 years, or Latour, or Chateau Drouin, any of these places that we go, the 100 years, 200 years of history, they're all community based.
Yeah.
They all also understand the fundamentals of what they're doing. Crazy how, as they're growing, each little area they grow is analyzed and done separately. They will grow a vine and in one particular area, and they'll put that in barrels separate, and then later on they'll take it and blend it. But each area is they look and see, well, what does this need? What are we doing for the soil here, or the water, or the drainage, or the infiltration, or whatever it may be. And it's a level of detail. It's simple, but it becomes complicated as because humans are involved.
Sure.
But the whole idea with anything we're doing is taking these very complex scientific ideas and making them concrete, so they're attainable for a student to understand. And I think that's where the creativity is built. So um, your your program, I wish I was 50 years younger and I could enter it, but but I look at it and just say, wow, it really looks like something that would be amazing to be involved with.
Yeah, I mean, we understood that there are many professions in food, in gastronomy, and in the wine sector and in beverages. So now we have one bachelor degree, 14 master programs, a PhD program also in gastronomic sciences. So we try to give education and build capacities in every profession in gastronomy. But I would say we have like four key values that we promote in all the programs. One is passion. I mean, we are a center dedicated to food and gastronomy. So we attract students from all over the world, professionals from all over the world that are passionate about this, because at the end, what can I say? I mean, food, farming, cooking, food is center in our society.
Right.
So it has to, it has consequences in our personal life, in the planet,
Right.
in everything,
Right.
in our health. So passion is for me super important. Second, we call excellence or quality. We try to, if you do whatever you do, you have to try to be excellent.
Yeah.
So because there's so many details, so many elements that you have to take in account. Third is innovation. Of course, innovation is a word that the meaning changes through the time. No, for example, in cooking, 15 years ago, culinary innovation was about creativity, new techniques, new experiences. And now, for me, culinary innovation, for example, yesterday we organized an event about regenerative gastronomy. And now culinary innovation, for example, is to work together with regenerative farmers to bring these incredible products into kitchens and to maintaining all the nutrients and characteristics show to consumers.
If you really think about it, can you even really imagine a kitchen that doesn't pay attention to where the food comes from? How could they possibly strive for excellence? They might have better knives, or they may have ways of taking that food skill sets of frying it or breaking it down, and they might have all those techniques, but you're kind of missing the whole core, and the core of it has to do with where the food is coming from. And we talk about the microbes. That's what my thing is with the soil.
Absolutely.
The microbes in the soil, ultimately, you have 13 billion microbes in your gut and your stomach. There's a connection between the food we're taking, from the plate and how healthy we are. The other thing I look at because you have even classes in history and that kind of thing, and I look at as a culture, humans built civilizations 5,000-10,000 years ago, and for the most part, the place that we eat a lot of the food today all came from, one little part of Europe, between kind of Middle East, the Fertile Crescent. So if we think about the foundation crops or the foundation animals, they were the easiest things to domesticate, and it's cow and it's goat and it's sheep, chicken. And then if we look at the plants, the crops could be, oats and wheat. And if we think about the limited amount of food we actually eat, and it's unusual to have a steak in a place that historically never had cows. or whatever. But as a world, because humans move and travel so
Mhm.
much, it's really hard to identify what was unique about a particular place. One of the things I really love when I come to Europe is seeing some of that history still there. You're still taking fish right off the boats and barbecuing it fresh. Um, in Italy, they have uh, wines that have been paired with specific dishes. In France, it's the same thing. So it's great to see um, things that were maybe they were not originally indigenous to an area, but they've been there as part of that culture for hundreds
Mm.
of years. And I think that's the interesting thing. I work with Native Americans in the U.S., but I've also podcasted in Mongolia and Kyrgyzstan with indigenous people, and they're not necessarily eating the same foods that we are. So to me, part of the culinary concept is this exploration. What other, we just have had such a limited understanding of what's growing out even in the field here. How much of this food can be found that you can use that's higher nutrient based,
Mm.
or can add a different flavor profile? And that's one of the things when I go to different parts of the world, they serve me food, and I'm like, okay, am I really? If you're in Asia or if you're in Africa, and this is food I'm not used to, um, it it doesn't mean that it's not better. Some of the food grown in Africa, for instance, the first thing I wanted to do is build gardens and have people growing spinach or growing lettuce, and instead they're growing like pumpkins or gourds, and they're
Mm.
using those leaves. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'm going to have to show them how to do this. And then I start researching, and I realize the nutrient base in the leaves that they're using is 10 times more than in spinach. And spinach doesn't grow in a hot climate that doesn't cool off at night.
Yeah.
So it's really important to understand the life cycle of each area, right? So, um, with tell me something about the evolution of your foods here. For people who've never been here? What is Basque food? What is it? What's that all about?
Well, I would say first, of course, I mean, food and gastronomy is part of the culture of the identity of a country, of a territory, for sure. And we teach our students to understand that and to be able to go in depth in that, to do research and to be aware of that. Because, okay, it has always been there, but sometimes we are not aware in this modern world that this is part of the culture. Where does it come from? Saying that, Basque country, Basque culture. Yeah, Basque country is just a, a territory in the border between Spain and France. I mean, part of the Basque country is in Spain, part of the Basque country is in France.
So it's three cities in today in Spain and three in France that were all part of the country at the time.
Yeah, I mean,
So Bilbao.
there is like a historic evolution of a Basque country, and I would say we call it Euskal Herria, Basque countries. That there are 7 provinces in 2 states, but in Basque country, for example, here in Spain, I would say it's a very gastronomic country. The valleys are industrial and high tech uh, uh, companies in the valleys, but in the hills, it is a very rural society.
Yeah.
So you have this combination of high tech industry with rural and farms. So we have from always we have quality food, small farms, fishermen. I mean fishing activity because we have Atlantic coast, Cantabric coast, so fresh fish is very important in our diet. So fish, meat, vegetables,
Right.
it's very important in our diet. And I would say we are a very culinary country. a very culinary nation. We cook a lot. We value fresh ingredients a lot. We buy into markets, so we buy the food in markets. We cook at home. We were talking before, even in our history, about 150 years ago, these chocos were created initially by men that they gathered together to cook and dine, and now they are open to anyone. But so it is a very culinary country.
Yeah, and one thing, and maybe it's my conception or misconception, but one thing I think of also is the sheep. Because when I travel the world and I see sheep herders, they seem to all have a lineage of Basque lineage. Because sheep were merino wool, first of all, until synthetics came over, and now everybody buys synthetic instead of, quality organic material. Not as much, but put it that way. But sheep also, which is lamb, is a major product as well for your meat, right?
Yeah. But another thing is that Basque Country, we have sea, but we have a lot of mountains. So very mountainous country. And so in our history and in our activity, there are a lot of sheep and cheese. So a long tradition of sheep, lamb, it is in our diet, and also cheese. So, and also in our history, many of them, they went to the States. They went to Latin America, to Argentina, to Chile.
I know some in the States. And they're, even in Arizona, they're moving sheep around. And I couldn't even believe it, because they literally will go in rural areas that I didn't even know that it existed. But
it was like about 60, 80, 100 years ago. There was an important migration to the States, to South America. And they took this culture of sheep and cheese and
And it's interesting, because I have to say, one of the, there's 280 cheeses or something crazy out there, and I like all cheese, but like in Italy they'll call it let's see, here you call it manchega, and an aged manchega, or a pecorino is called in Italy, is really my favorite cheese. I mean, if I want to start a meal and I take a piece of that with a glass of whatever the wine is, Chocolat or whatever.
You have
amazing.
to taste. Here the main cheese is called Idiazabal.
Okay.
It's a lacha sheep, and Idiazabal cheese with Chocolat or Rioja from Álava, that is the south province of the Basque Country. Yeah.
So that's pretty good stuff. So, and I've been here before, and I've met people who are raising the vines, and I was telling the guys in Bordeaux, which are like in Burgundy, the greatest winemakers historically. When I came here, Tempranillo is a different flavor to me, so too powerful at first. Now I love Tempranillo too. So it's interesting how our palate changes once we try things, and it's important for people to keep that open mind. If when we were in Mongolia, they didn't eat cow; they ate horse, and the horse was pretty good. But it's the idea with my limited idea or understanding of where I grew up and how I grew up, of how this thing would taste, or that flavor profile, how we can adapt that profile and actually start to appreciate it. Part of appreciating it, though, is having an understanding of it. Like what is it why is it a good thing? Well, horse is lean. It's a lean meat. It's, horses, there's a lot of them in abundance. So why wouldn't you use them? They're much cleaner in some ways than having a CAFO or CAFO produced cow, because of sanitary reasons and that kind of thing. Although I have to tell you, it might take me a lifetime to get used to horse milk.
Too strong.
It's like the worst thing I ever put in my mouth.
Yeah,
But I imagine it'd be something, if I got used to it, I'd like it.
I mean, we teach, of course, all of our students, and I mean, it's super important that they have to be ambassadors of the idea of the ingredients and the food and the wine are expressions of the terroir. I
Of
mean,
course. Perfect way to say it.
in this global world, that it looks like everything can come to from any part of the world
In a plastic bag or
in a
tin
plastic bag
can or whatever.
that was taken from the place 6 months before. I mean, we educate the professionals that will be saying to customers and to society, wow, the food, wine are expressions of the terroir, and and the best you take care of the soil, the best expression you will have.
And you have the plant that grows more endemic to that area. And in our area, it's mesquite tree is one of the foundation trees. I never in a million years would have thought that you would eat anything, but it has a seed pod, and Native Americans for thousands of years, they grind that up and they make a flour out of it, which, by the way, is considerably healthier than a lot of our than any processed flours we have today. But we're just not used to exploring these things. And you have to work with the farmer to do that. So I know there's some restaurants and some chefs that have the patience to work with the farmer if they're growing a particular crop and it hasn't been grown yet. And, because it does take 10 to 20 years to do experimentation. When I'm in throughout Italy and throughout France, they talk about their testing. They'll do grafts, different rootstocks. They'll do different vines, different clones. They're trying different techniques, but to do it, you have to start with 100 different plants, and then you're growing those, and then you're putting them out in the field, and you're testing which ones can make it, and you might only get a handful of grapes that you can use, but it takes a while because crops do have a way in biology as a way of changing.
Sure.
So you just don't know, if you have something today, it doesn't mean that the fourth or fifth generation will be the same way. So it's quite a process, and it takes that patience. But like you said, it's time. What you're really doing is buying time. And the idea that somebody was so conscious to do what they do is always what's, amazed me about food.
Yeah. But what is interesting also, what's happening now is because you look at the last 50 years, no? I mean, all the process has been, okay, let's select the best varieties of products that are more productive.
Right. Can handle the heat.
It was not important if they expressed the terroir or not. What's productivity? The main goal was, let's select the varieties that are more productive. And now in gastronomy, we are going backwards. We are selecting now the varieties that were lost, that express better the terroir. Right. And it's happening in bakery, it's happening in wines.
And you have to keep the biodiversity.
Absolutely.
You can't just go with a single seed and expect that to be what you're going with, because you lose. So we need seed banks, which are a big, big part of agriculture, and we need that constant experimentation. You mentioned how we're growing things today in Arizona, which is a desert. So certain things probably we shouldn't be growing in a desert, but when you have 8 million people living there, you should be growing food for people who live there. It makes sense. But we have the most beautiful strawberries in the world. They're gorgeous. They're this big.
Really?
They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's like eating this chair. It has you could not, if I put a blindfold on you and I gave you one, I'd ask you what it is, you might say,
you cannot smell anything.
You can't smell it. You can't taste it at all. And so to me, that's, again, something lost that consumers get used to. They look at it and that's what they do. So we're getting a hook here. I get the hook in Arizona all the time, but we're getting pulled because time is short. So we definitely don't want to short ourselves time in the garden. So take me through it.
Please, let's go.
Okay. Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.